Okay, part two. When the gang stalking was made apparent to me. So a lot of weird things have been going on at my house, and my house foreclosed. And in September 2016, I went to the extended stay on East 290, and with my dog Max and my cat Sprite, and I shortly before the move, during the move, and for about 3 to 4 weeks at the hotel, I just felt drained of energy. I just felt like I couldn't get out of bed except to smoke and to walk Max. I actually kept the moving truck for like 3 or 4 weeks. They almost called the cops on me. I ended up paying like, goddamn, like $3,000 for that fucking moving truck. I just had no energy, and I didn't really have a good explanation for it. I know now that was these people, because part of their devices, and we'll get to that soon, probably in the next video, is that they have a device that can electrically shock or vibrate or poke you or push you or crush you in jabs, like in the neck, or just in like a heavy blanket. Here you go, Max. Upon you. And they've done it to me here, they've done it to me since then at other hotels. It wasn't until like much later, probably over a year afterwards, if not later, probably like a year and a half, until I realized, like, oh my god, that was them. You know, they do that quite a bit. They mimic something that they did in the past, even before I was aware of the presence. And they, come here, Max. And they make you go, oh my god. And they'll even like say, like, hey, remember that time? That was us. And it's not even something that they, looked up and researched and try to mimic themselves. It's something that they would have had to have been there, and no one else would have been able to provide that same sensation or provide that same experience, that same sort of reminiscence of some sort of odd, bizarre, or horrible event. Max is in play mode right now. So when I was at the extended stay for a few weeks, there was no problems. I kept to myself. I'm a very friendly guy. I guess I didn't really talk about me in the last video. I'm one of the friendliest, nicest, kindest, most giving, most fair, most honest people you'll ever meet. I don't take from other people. I don't hurt other people. I've never thrown a punch on anyone in my entire life. I've never gotten in a fight. I never really had to. I'm very drama averse. I don't really like confrontations, but at the same time, if it's like there's some sort of task or something, I've been a leader in the medical tech industry. I was a director at EMDs. I worked there for 9 years, very successful. I left for eScan, which got bought out by TransUnion for a year and a half, which was like the shittiest job I ever had. And we'll get to that probably eventually later. I already did a video on that, but I was talking very rapidly, and had a lot of stuff to say about that, but because that was during the year of hell with Bernie and the year of hell with my job. And they were actually a big part of that, making it a year of hell. It was like a double year. It was like, and then there was a second year of hell, third year of hell, fourth year, fifth year of hell. We're now in like, I think the 6th year of hell at the beginning of it, to my knowledge. But anyway, suddenly after 3 or 4 weeks, I started hearing high frequency noises. And it wasn't like anything I'd heard before. It wasn't the refrigerator. It wasn't like something outside, like some sort of lawnmower or something like that, or a weed eater or something. It was something different, and it seemed very purposeful. And what I mean by that is, it seemed to follow me at times. It seemed to come at times, and it almost seemed to respond to me. Not immediately, but it almost seemed, it seemed to have an intent behind it. And I'm not a paranoid person. I'm not a conspiracy theorist. I have a very rational thinking brain. I'm not a drug addict. I've certainly partaken in drugs in the past. I've certainly leaned on um, methamphetamines during my struggle with this because it was the only thing that kept me like in my apartment or in the hotel room, and I'd rather be, relaxing or jerking off or something like that if the Gangstalkers would leave me alone. And we'll get to that. We'll get to that later. I've never been someone that reacted to drugs or alcohol, which is a drug, um, in a bad way ever. If anything, I never had a problem with them. It always made me more friendly, more loving, more horny, more interested, more hungry, or one or more of the above. I never got aggressive on it. I never had a meth rage. I never had an alcohol binge fit. Never anything like that, ever. I just don't react that way to drugs. So, Dad, I know you had a problem with alcohol, and I know you gave it up. So I almost don't really consider you an alcoholic, but I know that you always have to say you're an alcoholic. But like, you gave it up when I was like 6 or 7, and you were a happy drunk, but it was still a problem. It wasn't a problem for me. Drugs are not a problem for me. Now I use methamphetamines more than I wanted to because I always use them purposefully. I always use them, to go to like a gaycation or something, or go to like a bathhouse, or like to hook up with someone for like maybe a couple days on a weekend or something like that. But then it turned to, when it was around me more often at my house, just some bad roommates, it was around me all the time. And I already, with the year of hell, I'd already leaned on it more than I should have, and it was becoming like almost a daily thing. Not where I was getting like whacked out all the time, but I was just like leaning on it to get through the times. And sometimes you need that. I don't think they should be illegal. I think this whole thing, when it comes out, I think we'll decriminalize drugs, perhaps legalize them. Other countries are doing it in Europe, and they're having great success with it. They're seeing unemployment rates drop. They're seeing deaths drop, especially the places that had a lot of heroin abuse. That's one drug I've never done, heroin. I've never really liked painkillers or anything like that. So, and that's a very dangerous drug. But meth actually saved my life, actually. I mean, it kept me from wanting to seek these people out or to hurt other people that were complicit with them or that they made seem complicit with them, which is something I would never normally do. But they kind of pushed me to the edge that it is such suffering that they pushed me to do that, because if I did do that, partake, they would switch from the torture to a sexual molestation, sexual assault type sort of thing, which was often pleasurable, but at the same time, it was like, I'd rather have those weapons in the hands of someone that isn't going to use them as weapons, and isn't someone that's ruining my life, and isn't someone that's forcing me into this position of having to choose that or choose like unimaginable torture that we'll get to. But when I started hearing the voices, let me check the time on this. I think 3 minutes or so. So at the extended stay, after a few weeks, and my energy was drained. It started to come back, and then I started hearing voices. I heard a girl say, "Oh my God!" I was completely naked in my bed. Everything was drawn. All the curtains were drawn. No one could see me. I was just minding my own business, naked in the bed. And then I heard, a woman's voice go, "Oh my God, he's completely naked. Like, what does he do? Does he just he goes to the store or something? Maybe he goes to the gym. He doesn't have a job. Like, what does he do?" I was like, "Oh, they think I go to the gym?" Because I was not in good shape. I haven't been in good shape in a while. But I was like, huh. But I was like, who are these people? And then they started talking with me. And I thought, maybe I'm going schizophrenic or something. Like, I didn't really know much about schizophrenia. And I thought maybe meth leads to that. And I don't think that's a myth, but at the same time, marijuana actually, if you use early, that can actually lead to schizophrenia, more likely. If your brain is already fully cooked or whatever, and you're not abusing it like a motherfucker, which I was not, although my dad thinks I was, I was not using to the level or to the frequency that you thought I was, or for the length of time that you thought I was. At any